Pokemon is probably my favorite franchise ever. My first experience with the series occurred when I was around 5 years old with a copy of Pokemon Black 2 that my uncle's girlfriend got me. I remember immediately putting it into my DS, going through the intro, and picking my starter. That's when I found him, Oshawott. While I'm not sure how many Pokemon I knew about before playing this game, I know that this little guy became my absolute favorite. If I were to draw a Pokemon, Oshawott. If I wanted a Pokemon plush, Oshawott. If I wanted to play Pokepark 2, underrated game by the way, I played as Oshawott. Even now, I'm completely obsessed with this Pokemon and its evolutions. After playing through as much of Black 2 as a 5-year-old with poor reading comprehension could, which wasn't very far, I decided that Pokemon was my new thing. Ever since, I have gotten at least one game from each generation since Black and White 2. Now, I'm looking into getting some of the older generations that I was too young to experience. I even recently found a copy of the original Pokepark. As I got older, my love for Pokemon never fading, I found a new aspect to the game: shiny hunting. I was never lucky enough to find a shiny Pokemon as a kid, not even knowing what they were until well into my teenage years. I didn't even find my first shiny until I stumbled upon a random shiny Wurmple in Pokemon Legends Arceus a few years ago. However, after watching enough YouTube creators shiny hunt and even create shiny living dexes, I decided that I should give it a try. That was in 2023. Since then, I have dabbled in shiny hunting in between my busy life. I have found a few shinies since then. However, all of these Pokemon have been found on Switch games. While I always wanted to, I have been very hesitant to shiny hunt on the DS and 3DS. I never bought Pokemon Bank, and now that the Nintendo eShop is down, I most likely never will. I didn't really see the point on shiny hunting on older consoles when I couldn't transfer them to Pokemon Home. While I could mod my 3DS, I'm not very educated on the topic, and buying a 3DS or DS with Pokemon Bank installed is expensive. Yet, in August, I started college and didn't have much to do apart from schoolwork and talking to friends. So I decided that I should bring something to shiny hunt with, since that would be something I could do alongside my work or just for fun. However, my Switch was much too bulky to carry around or have on my desk alongside my computer. So I decided that my 3DS XL would have to do, even with my past reluctancy to hunt on older games. While I had 3 games to choose from for my hunt, with Legends EA putting the remainder of their Generation 5 Pokemon onto the Switch and Unova having a special place in my heart, I knew which one I had to choose. And I knew which Pokemon I had to hunt. So, a few weeks after starting college, I threw Pokemon Black 2 into my 3DS XL, played through the intro, and picked that little otter. And then I soft reset.
Okay, first one, not shiny. Time to do a million more.
For the next couple weeks, I was soft resetting every chance I got. I took my 3DS everywhere, and even ended up getting a lot of compliments on it. Even with a truckload of schoolwork and each soft reset taking about a minute if I wasn't distracted, I was averaging over 100 encounters each day. I was so determined to get this hunt done within a reasonable amount of time, all of my free time went to this hunt, and it became a nice creative outlet. I even made a fun slideshow to count my encounters for this hunt and any future ones. Due to my excitement, I flew past the 1,000 reset mark and began steadily approaching 2,000. Then life hit me like a truck. My dad had some health problems that took him out of a job and into the hospital. With the new financial and emotional stress, I spent all of my time panicking about my dad and if I would be able to continue my schooling. Shiny hunting was the last thing that I wanted to do, so it faded out of my schedule, and I wasn't sure if I'd pick it back up. I felt almost guilty anytime that I wanted to shiny hunt because it felt so superficial to do something so unproductive and somewhat meaningless in such a hard time in my life. With all the free time from stopping the hunt, I began spending more time with my family and friends, and even started going to church again. People that I had met only weeks prior saw me cry, grow distant, and become hollow from stress. But I was always met with kindness and understanding. It felt nice to be able to have such a good support system in one of the worst points in my life, and I will be forever grateful for everyone that helped me through those few weeks. By the end of October, everything with my family had settled down a little bit. My dad was doing better than the doctors expected, and while we weren't super financially stable, my life didn't feel like it was crumbling down anymore. So I began doing activities I enjoyed again, like shiny hunting. While I wasn't getting through soft resets as fast as I was in the first few weeks of the hunt, I ended up surpassing the 2,000 mark before November. I realized that if I wanted a chance at having this shiny before Christmas, I had to heavily ramp up my daily encounters. So, by the end of the first week of the new month, I hit 3,000 resets. By this point, I was really only shiny hunting during the school week. The weekends became much more reserved for spending time with people that I loved. While I loved this balance, it was making it more difficult for me to get encounters, especially as my semester finals were beginning to creep up. I needed something to distract me from the idea that I might not get the shiny by the time I wanted to. Instead, I began thinking about this little otter's name. But that itself comes with a story. When I was a little kid, I had the bad habit of naming everything after my crush at the time. I thought I was being slick, maybe even a cute romantic. However, it was very obvious to everyone, and even a little creepy. Even now, the results of those actions are pretty hard to escape. My family's elf on the shelf is named after a boy I liked in the 2nd grade.
Sorry, Ethan.
Therefore, it's safe to say that this habit did not avoid my Pokemon obsession. My childhood Black 2 save file had an Oshawott that was named after one of my first crushes, Bruce. So, I decided that if my shiny Oshawott were a male, I would honor that childhood craziness by naming it Bruce as well. And if it were a girl, I would name it after my current girlfriend, just as a callback to my old ways. Yet, I wasn't very sure how to change a Pokemon's name in Black and White 2, or if it was even possible, since I had only ever nicknamed Pokemon in later games where you could do it from the box. But I figured I'd cross that bridge when it came to it. So, I got back to hunting. And then, the week before Thanksgiving, on soft reset 4,182,
Oh, I know. I'm so sad. The pictures are so dark. I was the only one who was so. You were the only one who were you scared to get dark?
I found the shiny. Since I had lost all faith that I would get this shiny anytime soon, I didn't get my initial reaction on camera, but instead, I just recorded myself rechecking the summary for this video. However, I promise I screamed at my friends very, very loudly. Speaking of friends, I don't think that I would have been able to do this hunt without the community that I made. College allowed me to be around other people that liked Pokemon for the first time in a very long time. And I even found fellow shiny hunters to discuss our finds. However, even the people that weren't into Pokemon supported me. It made me very happy getting to explain the shiny hunting mechanics to friends who barely even knew what an Oshawott was. While this led to a lot of jokes about how boring it was for me to press the same button on my DS for hours for some differently colored pixels, my friends also constantly asked me if I had found the shiny yet, or how many encounters I had done so far. Even when I found the shiny, many of them posted a picture of me with it on their social media because of how happy they were for me. Without them being there, I don't think that my experience would have been nearly as fun. Now that I had my shiny Oshawott, it was time to relive the childhood experiences that I had waited months for. I fought my first battle with my rival, Hugh, where I absolutely destroyed his normal, non-shiny Snivy. Then, I was free to play the game however I wanted, catching Pokemon, fighting gym leaders without an egregiously overleveled starter for the first time, evolving and naming my little blue boy, and enjoying the Unova region more than I ever had before. While Bruce wasn't always the leader of my team, he was always there. I even designated his fully evolved form to be my surf Pokemon, just like I did when I was a kid. Overall, this shiny hunt experience truly altered the way that I view shiny hunting, and even my life. For the next few days after I found this shiny, I felt like I was beaming. I was connected to my friends in a way that I hadn't felt in so long. Many people even said that I seemed happier since that day. In a way, this hunt inspired me to make this video, because if I can sit and stare at a 3DS screen for months just to get a shiny, a 1 in 8,192 Pokemon, then maybe I can take on other challenges outside my comfort zone.